Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Wendy Mutata, and today I am joined by the former Finance Minister, the former Minister of Home Affairs, Mr. Malusi Gigaba. I know when you see him you think of politics, but today we're going to talk about something very different. He has been on a drive motivating students around Gauteng. So today he will be sharing us more about this drive that he has been involved in. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you very much.
Thank
How are
you.
you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for making time.
The pleasure is mine.
Because we've been trying to set up this interview and your PA really helped me out with this one. Thanks to her. So why did you really decide to go on this drive?
You know, it's something I've been doing. When I was president of the ANC Youth League, a position I held for 8 years,
Okay.
I used to visit schools. So whenever I was in provinces for ANC Youth League work, I would also go address schools during assembly in the mornings or whenever I was invited. So it's something which I've had a passion for. I even, for quite a number of years, since 2005, had a youth leadership and learnership development program. Youth leadership and life skills development program based in my village, which focused on high school learners, particularly from grades 8 until grades 11. And I did it in order to empower young people with leadership and life skills So it's something, as I say, that I've had a passion for. At the present moment, we still have been invited by the Kuzodlula motivational tours, which was founded by Vuyolwetu Sibiya.
Okay.
And so I've been working with them, sort of tagging along their program. But it's quite an interesting program because we go to schools, we talk to learners in the morning, we motivate them, the teachers are there, sometimes the members of the SGP are also there. But in large measure, we want to talk to learners and encourage them to strive for excellence, to try to be the best at whatever they are doing, and to be positive about their dreams and ambitions.
So do you target primary or high school?
We target high schools because that's the target audience that is now at that precarious stage of transition from school to university or FET colleges.
Yes.
These are people who are developing ideas about their careers, and yet because they are teenagers, they are confronted with complex situations about drugs in schools, about relationships, girl-boy relationships, about sexual matters, and a variety of other decisions that they have to make and circumstances they come across. Most of the learners come from very poor backgrounds. Some of them are going to school without parents. Some come from child-headed households. And so we interact with those people and try to motivate them. If you listen to people like myself, having been born in rural areas, my own background and upbringing, but if you listen to a person like Vuyolwetu, who
is it the guy you're doing the drive with?
Yes.
Okay.
He didn't grow up with parents. He stayed with his aunt, but he's been so self-driven that he's achieved so much at such a young age. A person like that is a great motivator, and a great motivation for young people, a great inspiration, because you then get to understand. Because some of us, though we grew up in difficult environments, schools were far away, we had to walk long distances, I think we had the privilege of having parents, both mother and father, both of whom were very keenly involved in your education and helped you even when you didn't see the need, to actually see the need. People who grew up without the parents, or who grow up in families and households where the parents are not so supportive of their educational drive. People who grow up in townships that are infested with crime, with drugs, those people are growing up in a much more difficult environment. And I think for us to be able to touch such lives, there may not be much that we offer them, but you know, in terms of motivation and inspiration, you can touch their lives.
Yes, yes.
Some of the kids, as you talk to them, you see in their faces that they are affected by what you are saying. And it does change somebody's life. If you can reach out to as many of such young people as possible, I believe that we can make South Africa a better place, a much better place.
So now when you're talking about issues that you come across when you get to these schools, do you find like you find that in terms of facilities or whatever issues that you can find at school, how do you now address such issues? Because obviously when you get the teachers will be like, you know, our laptops or our computers, such things.
The unfortunate thing is that some of the schools are no better than the schools that we went to in the 70s and the 80s.
Oh.
And that's a tragedy. Because you would expect that in 2019,
Yes.
when the world is talking about the fourth industrial revolution,
Yes, yes.
when the nature of work is changing, the types of skills that the children
you're talking
have
of
to
coding
obtain.
now.
You're talking of coding,
Yes.
you're talking of skills that that never existed before. But you look at the schools, the facilities, the amenities, sometimes they are the same as they were during our time, or they have degenerated, they've deteriorated.
Sure.
Some of the learners still have no classrooms. Some of them study. We went to some schools in Tembisa that have no classrooms, that have no windows. There's one classroom that doesn't have, you know, proper doors. So as the teachers are teaching, the people who are walking on the street would be conversing with learners during class, or sometimes learners can just stand up and just jump out of the classroom. So the conditions are quite bad. We were at Charlotte Maklege, they have no sports facilities, and which means that for these learners, the only thing they do is study. There are no extracurricular activities that motivate them, that change their mindsets, where they can distress, take their minds off their books into something else. But the fact of the matter is that sport, arts and culture help a child to grow into a full individual. They can't focus on studies alone, especially when there is no library, there is no laboratory, the classrooms are not in good condition, there is no data network for them to have access to computers and internet. And so, you know, the children are growing up in difficult environments, especially in rural areas and in most townships. That is what I mean. If you compare what facilities they have and the level of education they are at with children in former Model C and private schools, you feel the gap. But unfortunately, they have to sit at grade 12 and write exactly the same exam. That's true. Go to varsity and do the same courses. It's a difficult catch up that they have to do.
And then do you think they struggle when they get to university?
I don't think so. I think we Africans are a very resilient people. We are far more intelligent than we actually have been made to believe, or than we actually take ourselves to be. We've gone to the same universities and studied the same things with people who studied at the best schools in South Africa, and we've come out with exactly the same degrees, same amounts of knowledge, and better understanding of life in its totality than those people. So yes, they do struggle because when you get to an environment where you need to self-drive in terms of studying, where there is now a laboratory, where there's a library.
You've never used a computer.
You've never used a computer. You must submit your assignments online.
Yes.
You must type them. You must teach yourself to use a computer. And you must get a certain a percentage pass for you to progress up until honors levels, up until master's levels. And we want our children to obtain postgraduate degrees and diplomas. Because with a junior degree and a junior diploma on its own, you really can't go very far today in life. You need those higher level of knowledge and understanding and information, which is going to enable you to master life and your discipline in totality. So yes, they do struggle, but I think our children have really been excelling. What we have lacked in doing is to keep driving that national consciousness in their minds that make them to believe in themselves, to be proud in who they are, to be proud of their backgrounds, and to want to change those backgrounds. Because the fact that I'm proud of where I come from doesn't mean I want my children to grow up in exactly the same environment. That I had to walk an hour to school in the morning and an hour back from school doesn't mean that I want my children to go through the same experience. I want them to go through a better experience than that. But yes, I'm proud of what I've achieved. And our children must be proud of what they achieve. They get distinctions at matric without any facilities and amenities that empower them to obtain those pass rates, and they do. So we need to encourage them to look no further for motivation, look no further for role models than the other kids that have come out of here, than their own parents and the adversity they have overcome, and look no further than themselves and what obstacles they've had to jump through in order to progress up until you get to grade 12 and get to be admitted at a varsity college, at a university of technology, or at a university and FET college.
Yes. So now, how do you think the students that you go to in high school are responding to these motivations? Do you get feedback from teachers?
We do get feedback. Interestingly, even from parents, they send us messages and appreciate what we have done for their kids, and indicate that we are seeing some changes. They heard your message. You know, even when you talk to them, what I found interesting in many of the schools we've gone to, the quality of the principal reflects itself in the discipline of the learners. So the more serious the principal, the more the principal takes themselves serious, you will see in how the teachers take themselves and how the learners respond to the leadership they are being provided. And so as you talk to them during the assembly, and many of the schools don't have halls. I mean, let me not say many. All the schools we've gone to don't have school halls. So as you talk to them, they are not sitting in an orderly fashion in a school hall with chairs. No. It's just assembly outdoors, whether it's cold or it's hot. They are standing there basking in the sun or freezing in the cold. But they pay attention. They respond to you when you are talking. When you ask them a question, they respond. When you say something interesting, they take it in. You can see in their eyes that they're responding. So there would be those few that don't. But you know, if you can reach out to the majority, I think that's what we want. We wish we could reach out to all of them. We wish we could you know, our message could be assimilated, consumed by all of them. But if the majority consume the message and take it in and they reflect on it, then we're happy.
So I see on Instagram you use hashtag "the future is not an accident, the future is here." Why those specific hashtags?
Because the future is not an accident. What you want to be is not going to happen by chance, by mistake. You build towards it. Who am I? Would I be here had I not endured the discipline of school? Had I not listened to my parents even at times when I thought I did not want to? Had I not endured the difficulty of learning, bent the midnight oil to sit through my essays and assignments and my studies, prepared for exams, abstained from things that I didn't need in my life at the time as I was growing up. So the future is not an accident. Nobody says, I want to have a house and I'm going to sleep every day. I'm not going to start, I'm not going to work. And when I wake up one day, the house will be there. That doesn't happen to anyone. You can ask a soccer star, a netball star, you can ask Caster Semenya, you can ask our rugby stars, you can ask anybody. Nothing is ever got through not preparation. You prepare, you work hard, you plan for it. So that when the future comes, it's exactly as you imagined it. There may be, you know, variations here and there, but in large measure, it's what you've imagined in your mind, what you've conceived, what you've prepared for. So the future is not an accident. And I'm trying, even for me, it's the motto I live by. That where I am now is not where I want to end. I still have dreams about where I want to be. And those dreams are not going to fulfill themselves. I've got to prepare for them. And that future is not some distance far away in the distant horizon. That future is what I am building now. So it is now. That future is now. But that future doesn't end today. Tomorrow is another day. And the day thereafter. I build up to it. The only time when my future will be complete will be when I stop breathing and become cold and people bid farewell to me. Until then, so long as my heart beats, my brain cells are functioning, and I still have a little bit of energy in my bones, I'm going to work very, very hard to continue building a majestic future, not just for me, for my children, for my community, for my country, for my continent, and for humanity as a whole. So every young person has got to think about this, that their future is not going to be an accident. What you do today reflects itself tomorrow. What you put in today is going to come out tomorrow. Nothing will come out tomorrow that you didn't put in today. And that future is already here. It's just here. Grab it by the hands and just keep on molding and remolding it into something majestic.
Wow. So what do you think in general now, not specifically the high school students, is challenges that are facing young people?
There's plenty of challenges. I think the most important challenge for young people today is to grasp the intricacies of the lives we are living, of modern lives. They need to grasp it, to understand that this life needs more from young people than the skills and the knowledge and the information of their parents. Yes, it does, because as they say in Zulu, if you want to get to a destination, ask those who have traversed the road. how do you arrive at this destination. But remember that the future of our children is different from the future, it's different from our future, and different from the future of our parents.
Yes.
We are our parents' future. Our children are our future.
Yes.
None of it is complete. They've got to now understand that today they need more skills, they need more diverse skills, they need to grasp diversity in ways that we never understood. But they also need to understand that one of the biggest challenges they are facing is that modern life is complicated. It comes with a whole lot of things. We manufacture drugs to prolong life. The same drugs can be used to shorten it. So people would take all sorts of drugs and chemicals that are supposed to be used to treat HIV and AIDS, to treat various diseases. They put them together and create drugs that make you high, that can get you into an accident, make you to commit crime, end in prison, or die in the process. They need to understand that the challenge that they are facing is that with the greater openness in society, the alcohol they use that can be used to, create some entertainment and make people happy or do whatever. I don't know, I've never drank alcohol in my life, is the same alcohol that other people overuse and abuse and end up doing things that they did not either intend doing, or sometimes they intended doing, they just didn't have the courage to do them while they were sober. So everything that is now available, including the sources of information and communication, the means of communication and obtaining information that are at our disposal, can also be used to destroy life. So they therefore have to know that everything we do, one, must be used in moderation, two, must be used for the purposes for which they were intended, and three, and really addressing myself to young Africans. Young Africans have got to understand the responsibility, the gigantic responsibility that we have to build Africa, or to rebuild Africa into the continent it was thousands of years ago. So we have got to become proud of who we are. We've got to stop believing that we are junior to others. We've got to start grasping knowledge and information, grasping the economy, and utilizing the opportunities available at our disposal to improve ourselves. We cannot provide free education at university and FET levels for our children to come out of there and be unemployed. And so for those who are in politics, for those in business, we've got to create opportunities for these young people to take full advantage of the opportunities that democracy is providing them, so that we change Africa's relationship with the world. We don't become the least educated, the least skilled, the most unemployed, the most emigrating, the most dying during emigration in the Mediterranean, in the Mediterranean Sea. And we don't become only a producer of primary commodities. That is why the issues of land expropriation are so important, the issues of what do our reserve banks do, what policies they adopt that are going to address unemployment are so important. But all of those will come to naught. Even if we can expropriate all the land, we can nationalize the reserve bank, which we must do without doubt. But it will all come to naught if our young Africans do not have a self-drive that is superior, that belief that we are not inferior to anyone, we are actually equal to everyone. In actual fact, we are going to show you who we are. And we are going to study, we are going to become successful, whether in business or in the professions. We are going to just strive for excellence, make education fashionable.
They're talking about unemployment, which is now very high. It's up to 29% now. So what do you think young people can do?
You know, young people have got to study as hard as possible, obtain as many skills and qualifications as possible. They've got to pursue entrepreneurship. We can't all, you know, of course, not everybody can be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
But not all of us should pursue life as someone's employee. You know, there are those who are cut out to be public servants, like myself.
Yes.
There are those who are cut out to be professionals, like myself too. I'm a professional, I'm well qualified. There are those who are cut out to be business leaders and corporate leaders. All these 30% equities that we assign to black people, or that to which we confine black people, are in companies which were created for the economic empowerment of the white minority. Not for the economic empowerment of black people. So what we need to do is to change that economic empowerment model and pursue one which makes black people real owners of their own economic assets. And that's why these policies such as the expropriation of the land are so important. Because once you own the land is a factor of production. It's not just a piece of asset over which you must have a tenure where you can build your house or plant vegetables or keep livestock. It's a factor of production. Once you own it, you can not only use it for primary production, what you produce on that land needs to be added value onto. So you develop secondary industries. You then engage in trade, not only in primary commodities, but also in value-added products. So when we talk about land ownership, so young people have got to support unequivocally the expropriation of the land and its ownership by black people. Young people, because it will address employment, not just by creating opportunities for young people to become farmers, but it also creates secondary industries. Those who plant sugar canes and who plant mealies can then be able to supply millers owned by other black people, which employ other black people, which trade with other countries, both on the African continent and in the world. So we've got to support this. We've got to support the ownership of the Reserve Bank by South Africans. Never believe the arguments that people put out in order to defend why this shouldn't happen. In the end, we've got almost 30% unemployment. That is, if you use a conservative figure, if you use the expanded definition of unemployment, it goes up to close to 40%. You know, I've interacted with some young people at universities and listened to them regurgitating the same conservative economic policies that are creating unemployment and that have disempowered black people and thrown them into the cesspool of unemployment. When we need to be thinking differently and supporting ideas that are going to change the structure of the economy that are going to change the ownership patterns of our economy, and that are going to change the management patterns of this economy. So you want your young people not only to study, not only to work hard, not only to think entrepreneurship, but in an environment where the economic policies we are pursuing are not supportive of job creation and entrepreneurship. You also want young people to remain active politically. So I think in the context of the high unemployment rate that we are facing, which has reached the crisis level, we need a combination of factors, but above all else, we need human agency. We need human agency. We need youth activism. We need students activism to support those policies that are going to get our economy going forward.
Anything you would like to add?
I think there are two important things, perhaps three important messages I would like to add. The first one is that young people have got to be ambitious. They've got to be ambitious, to work hard, to be self-driven, to stay away from things which are not going to benefit them and benefit our society. As a people, we need to be, we are social beings. We need to think in terms of society rather than in terms of what advances me and me alone. Of course, society doesn't benefit if I don't advance. So we've got to develop ourselves for the good of society. The second thing is that young black South Africans, in particular, who have borne the biggest brand and the most violent brand of unemployment, lack of economic opportunity, of economic marginalization, and the brutality that unemployment and economic marginalization comes with, have got to really persist in their studies, those who are studying, in their professions, those who are professional, and in their activism. Because ultimately everything changes in society, not based on the goodwill of political and economic leaders, but it's based on the agency of humans in their different sectors. And thirdly, I would say, to reiterate the message, that the future is not an accident. It's not an accident. We've got to build the type of future we want. South Africa is not where it should be, and we should not end where we are. We've got big dreams for our society, where there is 0% unemployment, where there is economic growth which benefits everyone, where the violence perpetrated against women and the discrimination, marginalization of women is not there, where women can walk freely in society and advance at the same pace as everyone else and have equal access to opportunities that everybody else has. We want a society where your advancement in life is not based on race. The notion that South Africa today is non-racial is very false. We are a multiracial society at the moment. We are not yet a non-racial society. We will be non-racial. We will be non-racial the day the face of unemployment is not black, whereas the face of economic advantage is white. We will be non-racial the day when the land, the mines, the factories, the retail shops are owned in large measure by the black majority. We must be unapologetic about our pursuit for total emancipation. We didn't struggle to be recipients of a pittance in the land of our birth and of our forefathers' birth and our foremothers. we want it all. We must pursue it all, and so the struggle is not over. We must pursue total transformation and total emancipation with everything we have. So once we have that type of society, we will then say, indeed our society is non-racial, indeed our society is non-sexist, indeed our society is democratic, indeed our society is united. It cannot unite on the basis of our economic exclusion. There can be no unity on that basis. It's only when the black majority are included in the economy that the nation can unite. At the moment we are in pursuit of unity, we have not achieved it. We will be prosperous when prosperity is not for a few, whilst poverty is for the many. We don't want the majority of South Africans, about 17 million South Africans, living on social grants. It's a huge number. It's a good decision that government has taken to provide social assistance, to provide the social wage. But the majority of the people who are on social wage can be economically productive if the opportunities are there. So right now we are in transition towards that non-racial, non-sexist, democratic, united and prosperous society. We're not there. And we must not fool ourselves and think we've arrived. So the point I'm making is that that's the future. That future will not be an accident. Achieving that future cannot happen accidentally, incidentally, fatefully. It's going to require our activism, our human agents.
Thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure is all mine.
Guys, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Bye.